of educational management. There are total 12 units in which I'm going to start block 1, right? That is policy formulation and policy planning. I hope you are carrying your study material along. That must be with you. Yes, Devinder sir?
We have not received study material yet. So,
Okay.
and I was not able to download from the DSpace, from eGyan.
Okay. PDF sir. Okay. Then I'll be starting with the class. In later you can download the PDFs from IGNO's website. Okay.
Sure.
So the very first topic, the very first unit is policy formulation and policy planning, right? इसमें I would like to tell you first of all that initially education was mainly a state responsibility in India. Like every state had to manage its own school system. But later on in 1976, a constitutional amendment moved education to the concurrent list. I hope you all are aware with the different kinds of list we have in our constitution. Anyone in the class? Yes, kindly share if you know about the different list. Central list, state list, and concurrent list. Uh, I wish to have an interactive class, otherwise it would be quite monotonous. Yes, anyone in the class? Are you aware about the concurrent list? Okay. Then I tell you that in concurrent list, all the issues and all the areas are taken care by central government and state government combinedly. So in 1976, a constitutional amendment moved education to the concurrent list. Then National Policy on Education 1986 promoted a strong partnership between the central and the state government to implement education policies effectively. So first of all, you must be clear about what is educational policy. Anyone in the class? As you know, policy is a deliberate plan or course of action which is designed to influence and guide decisions, actions, and various matters. So, if we talk about educational policy, that means educational policy is a plan of action that guides how an education system operates in a country. So, major decisions related to the educations are always covered under the heading of educational policies. It covers various forms of education from early childhood to adult education, including K-12, that is kindergarten to 12th class. Yes. Kindly mute yourself, Dipesh ji. Dipesh ji. Mr. Dipesh, kindly mute yourself. Dipesh ji, kindly mute yourself.
And then comes the students' feedback. This is what they are supposed to do. To the
anyone please message Dipesh ji to mute his mobile.
11 points. Some can reduce it to 6 points. So these questions that will be given to them, they are put in. So what are the things that they expect because from students' point of view? These are the 11 points.
Dipesh ji.
Well prepared for this session. How can you prepare in the class?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Shilpa ji.
As a admin, you can mute him.
Let me just check.
From students' point of view, so they will ask the feedback also.
I'm not able to see the option right now.
Soft copy, we have to show that.
I think he is attending some class simultaneously. Dipesh ji. Shilpi ma'am, can you please message him?
Okay, ma'am, no problem.
Please.
So this is what we have to tell them. The goal is to provide continuous feedback on students' performance. Advanced preparation for the class is a must.
I think he has joined the class and left phone somewhere.
Thoroughly reading, describe the reading material, so give them an idea. One can ask some questions random to understand whether they are prepared or not.
Sunil ji, are you there? Hello, Sunil ji, can you please switch Dipesh ji speaker? Can you mute him?
The whole presentation always preferable by professional courses. That's what they will do. And then the annexure is your lesson. So in lesson plan, what is the pedagogy and activity that we do?
Sunil ji, kindly mute the
So all
page from
pedagogy
your
is come
end.
here. What is the course outcome for each and every? There we have not mentioned, here we have to mention.
Hello, ma'am.
First
I have his
session,
number.
what is
I'm
the
trying
course
to reach
outcome?
him.
Please,
That we
please,
have to read.
because I am not able to mute him
So
from my
as
end.
the
I'm
first
calling him, but he's not picking
CO
up the call.
being covered in the first two sessions or not?
Sunil ji, Sunil ji, are you there? Yes, I think Sunil ji has muted him. Okay, so in India, primary goal of the education system is to offer free and mandatory elementary education to children age 6 to 14 years, ensuring equal opportunities regardless of gender, caste, or class. To achieve this, educational policies have been developed, outlining various strategies to reach these objectives. So, these things are clear to you that education is in the concurrent list, and in India, our major objective is to provide free and mandatory education to all the children in the age group of 6 to 14. So, the next major point is that. What an educational policy is. It is always futuristic in nature. It projects the promotion of human capacities and competencies. It points out the role of education to bring about the kind of social order. There should be a particular social order in the society, and it reflects on the existing educational situations and suggests measures to improve. For example, there are certain loopholes or certain drawbacks in the education system. So, education policy would come forward to suggest the remedies and solutions for the same. Next, there are certain factors that affect education policy. These are called determinants of educational policy. So, in our education system in India, we have different determinants like social determinants, cultural determinants, political determinants, economic determinants, and technological determinants. First we have social determinants. Social determinants means all the determinants which are related with the society. For example, demographic trends, what is the population size, what is the age distribution, what is the urbanization affect demand for education and resource allocation. All these are demographic trends. Next, equity and inclusion. Equity directly deals with the access to education. How many people have equal access to education? And when we talk about inclusion, that means we are taking care of the special able children, yeah, disabled people also. So policies, education policy always take care of these groups also. Public opinion and values. Public opinion, cultural attitudes toward education, including the perceived value of education and their expectation. What public is expecting from the government to take major decisions about the education. All these would be included under the public opinion. Civil society and advocacy groups, NGOs, non government organizations, parent associations, and community groups can also advocate for specific educational policies and reforms. I hope social determinants are clear to you. Kindly raise your hands if any doubts. Should I move forward? Yes. I hope everyone is listening to the class. Shilpi
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
Jyotsna. Okay, thank you. That would work for me. Thumbs up that you are listening to me at least. Cultural determinants. Cultural determinants may we have cultural norms and tradition. What kind of values, what kind of norms and traditions we are having in our own country that majorly affects the educational policy decisions. Then language policies, like multilingual societies may implement policies to preserve linguistic diversity and promote the use of different languages in education. Religious influences. All of you are aware about the religious influences in our country. So religious influences, religious beliefs and institutions also affect the educational content and policies. Next, heritage and identity. Efforts to preserve cultural heritage and promote national identity can also influence the educational curriculum and policy decision. Students, this PPT which I'm using is made up out of your subject material which has been provided by IGNOU. So if you say, I'll share this PPT later on with Sunilji and he can forward you, right? Because I'm not able to share my screen from my mobile right now. Next, political determinants, government ideology, the political orientation of the ruling party, the government which is ruling, ideology and philosophy of that particular government also affects the educational priorities like funding and reforms. Next, legislative framework. Laws and regulations at the national and local levels establish the structure and requirement of the educational system. Policy makers and bureaucrats. This is the major factor because policy makers, people who are taking decisions, major decisions, are very crucial. Their ideology, their soch, their thinking is very critical in shaping educational outcomes. International influences, global organizations like UNESCO, World Bank, and international agreements can also influence educational policy. How? Through funding, through guidelines, and through benchmarks. Next, we have economic determinants. Economic determinants, all the determinants which are related to the monetary issues, monetary variables. For example, budget allocation. The very first thing, the proportion of national and local budgets dedicated to education impacts the quality and accessibility of education. It is very simple and self-explanatory point that if sufficient budget would be allocated to the education sector, obviously there would be certain kind of improvements in the quality of education system. Next, economic development of the nation, of the country. This is also self explanatory that wealthier countries would have more resources to invest in education. They would influence their policies according to their economic development. Labor market needs. The demand for certain skills and professions can drive educational policies to focus on special areas like STEM, vocational training, and digital literacy. I hope you all are clear with the digital literacy terms and vocational training. Yes, anyone in the class can uh, share his opinion about digital literacy. What is that? Dear students, are you there? Can you please interact with me during the class because it's a too long class,
Yes,
two
ma'am.
hours
Actually,
class.
digital literacy is. Hello,
Yes,
Bare minimum
yes,
knowledge
yes,
of computers.
yes. Yes, Devinder ji?
ma'am. It's just to the individuals and community to understand the use of technology and meaningful use of
Yes,
technology. Actually,
yes. Thank you so much. That is the basic literacy about the computer skills, that how we are able to use technology in our daily routine, how we are able to optimally utilize technology in our education reforms or education system also. So that is directly connected with the labor market needs. Next, we have privatization and commercial interest. The role of private sector in education, including private schools and educational services, can also shape the policy through lobbying and partnership. Next, major determinant of education policy is technological determinants. Access to technology, that is availability and integration of technology in education like computers and internet, shape educational delivery and content. Innovation and research, what is the level of research in our country? Advances in educational research and technology can drive policy changes to incorporate new teaching methods and tools. As you all are aware that in 2020 during the COVID period we totally switched to the online classes, and it was assumed that it is not going to work that equally efficient the way we had personal classes. But later on, online classes were equally efficient as offline classes. Okay? It all dedicates to the sincerity and honesty of the teachers and the students who conducted these classes. Next, we have digital divide. Addressing disparities in access to technology is a critical factor in formulating equitable educational policies. Like digital divide, when we talk about the disparities in access to technology, few people are not having equal access to technology, like in rural areas of the country. Next in your study material, we have conceptual framework, some basic things which we must be aware about when we talk about the dimension of educational management. First is objective setting. Define clear goals such as universal access to education, quality improvement, and equitable opportunities. It is very much clear to everyone that whenever we make a plan or policy, we need to have, it is must to have clear, defined goals or objectives. Then, stakeholder involvement. Engage diverse groups like politicians, bureaucrats, planners, administrators, educators, and the community to ensure comprehensive input and support. Needs assessment. What are the needs, educational needs in the country? Analyze current educational needs, gaps, and challenges through data collection and research. Whenever we want to assess the needs of the particular area or particular nation, we must have some pilot studies or action research which would be giving results or data related to the needs of the country. Policy design develops strategies and actions to address identified needs and achieve set objectives considering various educational levels and reforms. Then we have resource allocation. Resource allocation means we have certain resources we need to allocate, how much we need to allocate to particular sector. For example, plan for the necessary resources including funding, personals, and infrastructure. How much to spend on the education, how much to spend on the infrastructure, that is decided under the heading of resource allocation. Implementation plan outline detailed steps for enacting the policy, assigning responsibilities, and setting timelines. Monitoring and evaluation. This is very crucial because when unless we'll do some monitoring or evaluation, all our plans would go all in vain because we need to have actual evaluation whether our predetermined objectives have been achieved, attained, or not. Feedback and revision. On the basis of evaluation, continuously collect feedback from the stakeholders and use it to refine and improve the policy over time. I hope this much is clear to you. We discussed educational policy, its meaning, factors determining, and conceptual framework. Next, next we have stakeholder group involved in the formulation and implementation of educational policy. Wide range of groups are involved, including politicians, bureaucrats, planners, administrators, and academics. A national policy on education must arise from the insights, active participation, and wisdom of all those involved in its implementation. Sincere efforts of all the stakeholders is must for the success of any educational policy. Then it has been mentioned that there are different stakeholder groups like politicians, civil servants, professional bodies, political parties, media, and people in general. Next, we have in Unit 1 historical evolution of educational policy in India, that how education policy evolved in our country. So I will give you brief detail about the different periods. Like first, we have ancient time. See, India's education history is very long and varied. In ancient time, it was mainly accessible to only higher caste, excluding common people and women. Like common people and women were deprived of this right completely in ancient times. Kings and rulers with their advisors formulated education policy, and their main focus was on the education varied by province and rulers. Mughal times. After ancient time, we come to the Mughal times. Grants and donations greatly promoted education under the Mughal emperors. Uh, knowledge, just hold on. Here it has been mentioned that Babur, knowledgeable in multiple languages, loved poetry. Akbar, the various interest of these Mughal emperors has been mentioned in your study material. Like Akbar, despite lacking formal education, he supported mass education for Muslims and Hindus, translating Sanskrit text into Persian and improving educational structure and quality. Aurangzeb expanded educational institution and had provincial government oversee education. The system was quite flexible and practical, with classes in homes, temples, or open spaces, and schedules adjusted for teachers and students, allowing students to join Pathshala anytime. So that time education system or education institution were called Pathshala. Next, we have education policy during East India Company. Until 1765, the East India Company was not heavily involved in education, which was primarily managed by missionaries. After becoming a political power in 1765, the company adopted a policy of religious neutrality and ceased supporting missionary schools. Some major educational policies under this heading are Charter of 1813. Charter of 1813 में जो key issues थे, those key issues included educational aims, what kind of aims should be there, what kind of medium of instruction should be there. There should be certain responsible agencies and policies. Educational decisions were made by governors or the governor general without Indian input, under the control of companies directors in England. Here it must be noted there was no contribution made by the Indian authorities. Next, Minute of Lord Macaulay. In this, we have the major factor divergent views on education in India. He proposed educating a select few to teach others, educating a select group, like a particular strata which is educated to teach next other level, while some advocated mass education due to financial constraints. Next policy, this was very important, Wood's Dispatch of 1813-4. It introduced significant administrative and structural reforms in Indian education, including replacing provincial boards with departments of public instruction in each province. This was the very first official British educational policy in India. What was the key point of this Wood's Dispatch? That it advocated mass education managed through grants in aid under the state supervision. Key implementations, including establishing Department of Public Instruction in 1855. That was the major decision that they have established Department of Public Instruction, and founding the University of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras in 1857 as examining bodies. Next, we have Gokhale's resolution in the Imperial Legislative Counseling. See, all these policies you need to memorize for your examination. These are self-explanatory in your study material, but you have to memorize in a particular way to attempt it in your papers. Gokhale's resolution in the Imperial Legislative Council 1911. Uh, it introduced a bill in the Imperial Legislative Council to gradually introduce compulsory elementary education in India. Gokhale's resolution was emphasizing on the compulsory elementary education in India. Through the bill was rejected. It marked the beginning of efforts toward a compulsory education law. Then we have 1913 resolution of the Government of India on education. In 1913, the Government of India adopted an education policy resolution with three key principles. There were three principles. First, focusing on improving the standards of existing institutions rather than increasing their number. Like they insisted on the quality rather than the quality, making primary and secondary education curricula more practical and more useful. That means it should have certain kind of relation with the real life experiences. It should not be theoretical only. Third principle, providing facilities for higher studies and research within India to reduce the need for Indian students to study abroad. These were the major three principles under the resolution of the Government of India. I hope this much is clear to you, students. Yes. Uh, okay. Next heading we have, it was all about the history of educational policy in India. Next we have national movements and education. It was from 1905 to 1921 में जितने भी national movements और education से related decisions लिए गए थे. Now we are going to go through that. First was Government of India Act 1990. ठीक है, it created it making education is a provincial matter, causing unequal development and financial strain. Central funding for education ceased, disrupting national coordination. The funding which was allocated to the education started decreasing in that. Between 1990 and 1930, most provinces enacted compulsory education laws, giving local bodies control and authority to levy educational taxes. The Central Advisory Board of Education, which is known as CABE, it was formed in 1921, was disbanded in 1923 due to financial constraints, indicating the low priority of education. Next, we have next movement was Hartog Committee 1928. It suggested closing inefficient schools. Their major concern was quality education, so they insisted that inefficient schools should be closed. There should be enhancement of teacher quality and curriculum and strengthening inspection. Inspection was, emphasized in that particular committee. It argued that primary education should be national responsibility rather than left to the local bodies. In line with its recommendation, the Central Advisory Board of Education came was reinstated in 1935, which was disbanded in 1923, and the Bureau of Education was revived in 1937. Next, education under provincial autonomy and Congress ministries. In this, we have Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India Act of 1935 implemented in 1937. What was the main key feature of this act? That it abolished the dialectal system and transferred provincial administration to the ministers. In 1937, an All India National Educational Conference at Wardha, chaired by Mahatma Gandhi, proposed 7 years of compulsory education in the mother tongue with emphasis on the manual work, that they were insisting on the skill development among the students. The conference led to WADA scheme outlining basic education principles aligned with Gandhi's ideas, later influencing post-independence educational policies also. Next, review of education in 1943. Sir John Sargent recommended universal, compulsory, and free primary education, along with pre-primary education and comprehensive teacher training, while proposing a strong central education department, but devolving primary education responsibility to the provinces in India. This review of education majorly insisted on the training of the teachers also in service training to improve the quality. Next, in Unit 1, we have educational policy in India since independence. The very first was National Policy on Education 1968. 1968, the major key issues of this policy was to promote universal education to education, ensuring equality and fostering national integration among the youth. Key features included the expansion of educational opportunities, enhancement of quality, and improvement of educational infrastructure also. The policy emphasized the importance of vocational education. Yes, uh, dear students, what is vocational education? Many of you are aware about that. It's very important these days, vocational education. There are very few students in the class. We have these many only, Devinderji.
Yes, ma'am.
How many students we have in class? It's only, I think only
Usually,
15 students are visible to
Ma'am,
me.
occasional training
the
means
last
actually they are providing
Hmm,
skill-based learning, practical
hmm,
learning
hmm.
compared to means theory-based.
Yes, very right. Yes, Devinderji, you were saying
actually
something?
through vocational education we can prepare the skilled worker or education
Yes.
imparted to the artisans or the trade person or
Okay.
it's a kind of a technical education which is given to the person. And
Very right, sir. Thank you.
I was just talking because earlier there were 16 to 19 students appeared in the
Okay.
last lesson. So I
Okay.
believe
Okay. Okay.
I think it's this trend.
There are total 13 students right now in the class, including me, 12 students. Okay. Uh, Next, we have National Policy on Education 1986. It is very, very important for the examination point of view. NPE 1986. It aimed to provide quality education to all, emphasizing universal access, equity, and national integration. Key features including the promotion of adult and non-formal education, improvement of curriculum, examination system, and enhancement of vocational education. The policy also stressed the importance of teacher training, educational technology, and educational planning at all levels. Additionally, it also highlighted the role of education in promoting social justice, economic development, and cultural preservation. Next, we have NPE, that is Program of Action 1992. National Policy of Education Program of Action 1992, it outlines specific strategies and actions to implement the goals of NPE, like the goals which were set in National Policy of Education 86. it aimed to fulfill those goals, right? It emphasized the importance of universal access to education, quality improvement, and equity. Then, key aspects including expanding elementary education, improving teacher training and development, enhancing vocational education, and promoting adult literacy and non formal education. The program of action aimed to address the diverse educational needs of different regions and communities, ensuring inclusive and holistic development. Then we have educational policy making bodies in a country. So there are 25 regulatory bodies in our country which directly deals with the educational policy. And first of all, I would be telling you about Ministry of Human Resource Development, Department of Education. The Department of Education within the Ministry of Human Resource Development is responsible for formulating educational policies aligned with the national needs and constitutional obligations. It develops annual and 5-year plans for the education sector. It reviews programs and schemes, monitors plan expenditure, and also analyzes actual spending against set targets to ensure effective implementation. Next, uh, next major thing is Central Advisory Board of Education, in which we talked about in the ancient times also. It was established in 1920 and it was dissolved in 1923. But later on, it was revived in 1935. What is the major role of CAVE? It plays a crucial role in advising the central and state governments on educational policy and reviewing educational development. Then it also nominated and elected members from the various sectors. Its functions include reviewing educational progress, assessing policy implementation, coordinating between government bodies and NGOs, and advising on the educational matters. CABE's first meeting in August 2004 led to the formation of 7 committees to address critical education sector issues such as elementary education, girl education, secondary education, higher education autonomy, cultural integration, textbook regulation, and financing also. Next body we have Planning Commission. First we did CAVE, then Planning Commission. It was established in March 1950, operating under the guidance of National Development Council, that is NDC. It serves as the central executive agency for the planning process, chaired by the Prime Minister. Its main responsibility is formulating 5-year and annual plans to optimize the country's resources and monitor their implementation. The Planning Commission collaborates closely with the central ministers, state governments, and non government organizations to address various sectoral issues and allocate resources according to the national priorities, including in areas such as education and health. According to the priority, the resources are being allocated by the Planning Commission. Next, we have advisory institutions involved in the policy formulation and implementation. There are certain advisory institutions in every state which do contribute in the educational policy and education development in the particular area. You must have heard about NUPA, National University of Educational Planning and Administration, under the Ministry of HRD, Human Resource Development, Government of India. It specializes in educational planning and administration. It also offers training, research, and consultancy services nationally and internationally, contributing to the uh, policy formulation. It also conducts interdisciplinary research. Dear students, what is interdisciplinary research? Yes, anyone in the class? What is interdisciplinary research? When we do study different disciplines simultaneously, different subjects simultaneously, like how maths can contribute towards the progress of science, how science can come forward to bring changes in the teaching methodologies and approaches. That is called interdisciplinary research on educational policy, planning, and management. It also provides various research programs, including MPhil, PhD, and postdoctoral programs. Next, we have NCRT. You must be aware about this, the National Council of Educational Research and Training. It was established in 1961 by Government of India, and it focuses on the enhancing of quality of school education through activities such as textbook, preparation, innovative teacher education programs, and curriculum framework development. Its contributions include the National Curriculum Framework, that is popular as NCF, revisions in 1976, 1998, 2000, and 2005, aligning with the goals of national policy on education. Next major advisory institution is UGC, that is University Grant Commission, right? It was established in 1956 under the Act of Parliament, and it is responsible for promoting and coordinating university education and maintaining standards in the teaching, examination, and research. It also ensures the fulfillment of these objectives by investigating university financial needs, allocating grants, establishing common services, recommending educational improvements, advising on grant allocation, and facilitating the establishment of new university. I think you all are aware about that UGC provides funds and grants for the research purposes also to the research scholars. Next, NIOS, that is National Institution of Open Schooling, NIOS, that mainly aims on the open and distance learning ODL programs from basic education to senior secondary education along with vocational educational courses. It plays a crucial role in realize the objectives of the national policy on education. Whenever any decisions are taken by NIOS, it takes care of the objectives of NPE 1986 by enhancing educational access and fostering a dynamic and inclusive learning society. Dynamic means which keeps on changing with the requirements of the nation, with needs of the nation. Next header, we have schemes, programs as a consequence of educational policy. Now we talk about the different schemes. Earlier we were talking about the different bodies. Are you clear about the bodies, students? Yes? Okay. Ranjita ji, Shilpi, right. So now I'm going to tell you about the different schemes or programs as a consequences of educational policies. The very first is non-formal education, which is popular as NFE. Okay? It emerged as an alternative to the formal schooling. Formal mean when there is proper structure, there is proper building and faculty to teach students. But non-formal when we are not having any proper structure. NFE emerged as an alternative to formal schooling to ensure free and compulsory education for all the children up to the age of 14. It was initiated in 1976 and it expanded following the NPE 1986. The scheme the scheme flexible in duration, location, curriculum, and evaluation. It is quite flexible. Like curriculum of the students, curriculum of the class is quite flexible. It is keep on changing according to the geographical needs of that particular area. It targeted educationally backward regions, urban slums, and remote areas. The Education Guarantee Scheme, that is EGS, and the Alternative and Innovative Education AIE scheme with 75 ratio 25 funding from the government aimed to reach out of the school children aligning with the education for all objective. This is non-formal education. Next, Operation Blackboard, that is OB scheme. It was launched in 1987 following the national policy on 1986. It aimed to enhance primary school environment and improve learning outcomes. It provided essential infrastructure like building, teachers, and teaching material, focusing on single teacher schools. Initially providing two teachers and facilities, it expanded in 1992 to include three teachers and rooms for school with over 100 students. This is very important question from the examination point of view, that what was Operation Blackboard scheme, right? A nationwide study in 1998 conducted by the National Institution of Educational Planning. Just hold on, students. I'm getting a call. Just hold on. Yes. So, a nationwide study in 1998 conducted by the National Institution of Educational Planning and Administration assessed the scheme's implementation and impact. Next scheme, which is very popular in schools, National Program of Nutritional Support to Primary Education, that is popular as Midday Meal Scheme. It was launched in 1995, aims to boost primary education enrollment, retention, and attendance. There were three major issues: primary education enrollment, retention, and attendance, while improving child nutrition. I hope you all are clear by the term retention. Yes, dear students, what is retention? That students who get enrolled in the class 1 or a nursery, they clear their plus 2 or end of the class till the end. They don't drop out in between. So this was the major purpose. By providing a common meal, it fosters social cohesion and addresses gender disparities in household food distribution. Initially covering primary school children, it was expanded to include those under the Education Guarantee Scheme, EGS, and Alternative and Innovative Education, AIE centers. In 2004, cooked meals became mandatory with the central government providing assistance for cooking cost. The scheme benefits around 110 million children and it is monitored at national level, state level, district and block levels. NUPA assesses its implementation across states. The one advisory institution we studied about, it takes care of this scheme. Next we have Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya KGBV. This scheme initiated in July 2004. It aims to promote girl education at the upper primary level. So it is very much clear from the heading Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya. It involves the establishment of 2075 residential schools in educationally backward blocks with high gender gaps and low female literacy rates. These schools cater primarily to girls from marginalized communities, those who are deprived from different kinds of rights, such as scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward and minority groups. Next, we have teacher education. School programs as consequence, teacher education, the centrally sponsored scheme of teacher education initiated in 1987-88. It aimed to establish institutional infrastructure for continuous training of the school teacher. Here we are talking about the in-service training of the teachers. District Institute of Education Training, that is DIETS, provide academic support to the elementary school teacher, while College of Teacher Education CTE and Institute of Advanced Study in Education IASE, these are the abbreviations I'm speaking, focus on pre-service and in-service training of the secondary school teachers. However, an evaluation conducted by NUPA identified several issues with the functioning of DIETS. Teacher education was mainly focusing on the professional development of the in-service teacher. Once you join the job, you are not going to learn, if you are not going to learn anything new or you are not updated with the updated knowledge, that is not good for the teaching profession. So it was mainly concerned with the professional development of the in-service teachers. Next we have Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan KVS. This scheme was initiated to offer uninterrupted education to the children of transferable central government employees. It began with 20 schools and has since expanded to include 919 operational schools, including 3 abroad in Kathmandu, Moscow, and Tehran. Next, we have Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti. You all must be aware about this also. These are the residential schools. The government of India initiated the Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya scheme to establish an average one school in each district. JNVs aim to provide quality modern education, cultural values, environmental awareness, and physical education to talented children in rural areas. Regardless of their socio-economic background, these fully residential co-educational institutions offer education up to the senior secondary stage. It also includes boarding, lodging, textbooks, uniforms, etc., free of cost for all the students. Next, we have vocationalization of secondary education at +2. level. The vocationalization of secondary education has been implemented since 1988. It providing financial assistance to state for establishing administrative structures, conducting vocational surveys, and developing curriculum material such as textbook, workbook, and training manuals. Next, we have national level educational programs and projects. In this, different kinds of projects has been discussed in your study material. Like we have district primary education project, the national program for education of girls at elementary level, then Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan scheme, right? The district primary education program launched in 1994 across 42 districts and later extended to 285 districts in 18 states. It aimed to enhance access, retention, and achievement in primary education, especially among girls and socially disadvantaged children. It emphasized area specific planning, decentralized management involving local bodies, and quality improvement through curriculum revisions, teacher training, and institution building like block resource centers and cluster resource center. DPEP demonstrated success in improving access and retention through formal and alternative education modes. Okay, student, this was all about block 1 in your study material. I hope this much is clear to you. We have discussed meaning, policies, advisory bodies, schemes in the unit 1. I hope this is clear to you, everyone. Okay, thank you. Next, we have block 2. In block 2, we have unit 2 organizational structure. Just hold on. This was, yes, Department of School Education and Literacy. Before discussing the role and responsibility of Department of School Education and Literacy, it is very important to understand the school level educational system in India. This is very basic information you must be aware about it. School education follows a two-tier system. The first 10 years cover general education, followed by the 2 years of senior secondary education. Then we have in India, secondary and higher education systems are controlled by the following bodies. This is all basic information regarding the education system in our India. Like we have CBSE, we have Council for the Indian School Certificate Examination, state government boards, and National Institution of Open Schooling, that is NIOS. Next, uh, as evident from its name, the Department of School Education and Literacy caters to the elementary education first level, secondary education second level, and third, adult education and literacy. And it caters to the elementary education, secondary, and adult and literacy. First, we talk about the elementary education. In elementary education, it guides the land share of the allocation for the education sectors. The 10th plan provides an allocation of 300 billion rupees in the central sector for the schemes relating to the elementary education and literacy. The major programs under the elementary education, you need to explain few name of the few programs like district primary education program. It is centrally sponsored scheme aimed at the holistic development of primary education from class 1 to class 5th. It has three major objectives. The very first objective is to reduce the dropout rate to less than 10%, reduce disparities in enrollment and learning achievement among gender and social groups to less than 5%, then improve learning achievement levels compared to the baseline surveys. To achieve this objective, DPEP includes what are the different steps it takes to achieve this objective. Number one, construction of classrooms and new schools, opening alternative schooling centers, appointment of new teachers, setting up early childhood education center, strengthening SCRT and diets, establishing block resources and cluster resources, providing teacher training and developing teacher learning material, special interventions for girls, working children, integrated education for disabled children, and distance education for the teacher training. Teacher training means professional development of the in-service teachers. Then DPEP is externally aided. Externally aided means 85% of the cost is borne by the government of India and 15% by the state government. It is periodically reviewed through joint review missions. PMIS, EMIS, and impact studies. Review is very important. Monitoring of every single scheme is very important. Before the launch of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, DPEP covered 273 districts in 18 states, focusing on districts with low female literacy. Further expansion of DPEP ceased with the introduction of Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Just hold on, students. Just hold on. Yes. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is a Government of India program aimed at achieving universalization of elementary education. It is a collaborative effort between the central and state governments covering the entire country. It also ensures universal elementary education and bridge the gender and social gaps by 2010. In your examination, you can be asked about the different schemes which are popular in the short notes also and in the lengthy questions also. They can ask you directly about the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, write a detailed note on the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan scheme, or they can ask you tell any explain major recommendations or major schemes and programs for the educational development in country. It aims on the opening new schools in underserved areas, strengthening existing school infrastructure with additional classrooms, toilets, drinking water, maintenance grants, and school improvement grants, providing quality elementary education, including life skills. Okay, what are the life skills, students? What do you understand by this term? Life skills? Anyone in the class? You can message also if you are not able to unmute yourself. Life skills, anyone? Skills for harmonious. I'm not able to
Is
see.
it
Just hold on.
it's the skill which is needed for the survival?
Yes, yes, exactly. Someone has written empathy. Very right. These are the skills which are required for the survival of a human being besides academic excellence, right? It is not important to have only academic excellence to survive in the society. You must have certain skills to face the different real life experiences, real life situations. So next, focusing on girl education and children with special needs, offering computer education to bridge the digital divide. SSA is a time-bound mission. It has a certain time-bound period mission dedicated to improving the elementary education across India. Next, we have Mahila Samakya program. This program was initiated in 1988. It is very much clear from its title that it aims to empower women in rural areas, particularly those from the marginalized groups who are deprived from the different rights in the society, like in education. It establishes uh, महिला शिक्षण केंद्र MSKs जिसे बोलते हैं, offering quality education and skills development, fostering women's empowerment and lifelong learning. The program evolved through extensive consultations with the voluntary agencies. There are certain agencies who come forward willingly to help out government officials, educationists, and women groups to address the specific needs of the rural women and girls. Next, we have Jansankhya Strita Course or National Population Stabilization Fund, NPSF. It is an autonomous society established to achieve population stabilization by 2045, aligning with sustainable economic development goal, social development, and environmental protection. Here is a term that is called sustainable economic growth. Anyone in the class? You may tell about the what is this sustainable economic growth? Yes, students.
which continues
Sorry,
for
sorry,
which
Riteshji.
continue which continues to long period of time.
Yes, yes. When we talk about sustainable development, it means when are developing our nation, but not at the stake of the depreciation of available resources. What does it mean? कि हम ग्रो तो कर रहे हैं, हम डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं, प्रेजेंट गोल्स को अचीव कर रहे हैं, but we are also taking care of our future generations. Right? For example, if I say that a country is developing at a very good rate, but simultaneously the pollution level of that particular country is increasing, so it would not be called sustainable development. Sustainable development, when we are taking care of the development, we are developing our nation, but not at the stake of available resources or depreciation of the available resources. Thank you so much for your reply. Next we have National Program of Nutritional Support to Primary Education. This is again repetition what we have done earlier, that is midday school meal program. Do I need to explain it again? That it serves 12 crore children, is the world largest school feeding program. It boosts attendance and nutrition. Its implementation varies across states. Karnataka model of centralized cooking and delivery is exemplary. Effective management structures and quality checks are very crucial for its success, especially as it expands to the higher classes. The main focus of this scheme was to attract students regularly in the school. That the students from the poor background or the rural areas, they would be coming to the school regularly. They would be getting food besides education also, though that was the major attraction in the schools for those students who were not willing to the school to come for studies, because their parents were considering them as assets. They wanted them to work and earn for them, but when they realized that government is providing different kinds of schemes and free food to their kids, so they started initiating in the regular attendance of the those children. Concerns remain about the meal regularity and quality. Proper monitoring is done, necessitating improved monitoring and supervision. Next, we have there are few topics which have been repeated in again and again in the this subject material. Like the next scheme we have already done, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya. Next, let me check. Yes, a national program for education of girls at elementary level, that is Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. Major focus was on the uh, empowerment of the girls. Okay, students, let's have a general discussion about the empowerment. What do you understand by the women empowerment? We have been talking about the empowerment through education. Yes, anyone in the class? Can you tell me the exact, I mean, your opinion about the women empowerment? Is it only education or working or doing some job? Yes, we can interact. Students, please speak
Ma'am,
about
it's all about
Ma'am,
making her more independent
one
to
by
the
one, one by
of
one.
it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, first Shilpi ji.
I think it's promoting women's sense of self-worth, their ability to determine their own choice, and their right
Mm-hmm.
to influence social changes for themselves and others. It's just my
Very
thought.
right. Yes, very right. Yes, Ranjita ji.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, it's all about the overall development of a woman and to make her more independent, socially,
Hmm.
personally, professionally. That is all
Hmm.
about the woman empowerment so that she can sustain herself in the society,
Very
if
right.
alone or even if she's with family.
The major factor which in my opinion I feel is very very crucial is the financial independence of a woman. For
Yes.
example, suppose a woman is working in a particular job, but all his finances are controlled by the male members of the society or the family. That won't be considered as women empowerment. Whether she is educated, she is going out of the home earning, but until and unless her financial things are under her own control, it won't be called the women empowerment. That is my opinion. So she must have those skills in her personality, education. Then we talked about life skills to survive in the society independently and with full empowerment. Thank you. Another key component, the education guarantee scheme, an alternative. And innovative education aims to bring children in school, less areas, and out of school children into the education system. This scheme supports flexible strategies such as bridge courses, residential camps, drop in centers, summer camps, and remedial coaching. Now, there is a term in this line that is remedial coaching. What is that? When we talked about enrichment classes and remedial coaching, what is that? Yes, anyone in the class?
It's to improve their academic skills, means those who are like behind, they are not able to cope up the subject, and to give them
Yes,
additional, knowledge.
yes, yes.
It's better.
Yes, very right, Devinder ji. Remedial classes are or coaching is for those students who are weak in their different subjects. So we provide them remedial classes for that particular subject. Teachers come forward and evaluate their teaching methodologies, that how can we improve the score of a particular child. That is remedial, right? Enrichment classes are directly connected with the, good students with the good academic skills already. We want to take them to the more upper level, that is enrichment class. We are trying to enrich them, enrich their qualities from their present state to the futuristic state, right? Thank you. Next, we have secondary education. Earlier, we were talking about the elementary education. Secondary education acts as a transition phase between elementary and higher education, catering to the individuals aged 14 to 18, preparing them for further education or employment. In India, census of 2001 estimated the population of children in this age group to 88.5 million. See, the purpose of giving this data in your study material is to capture more marks. If you add some data in your answer sheets in your question, it authenticates your knowledge also. So try to memorize few of the figures in your answer also. However, enrollment data indicates that only 31 million were attending schools in 2001-02, leaving approximately two-thirds of the population out of the school, opening new schools in underserved areas. Then there are a number of autonomous bodies under secondary education. Thus, at present, the center's intervention in secondary education is at two levels: apex national bodies and centrally sponsored schemes. Now, I'm going to explain that for you. Uh, First, we talk about the apex autonomous bodies. First of all, we have Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. I think it has been covered in block 1 also. The Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya JNV scheme initiated in 1985-86. It was done. Yes, students, do I need to explain it again? It has been, there is some content which is being repeated in the different headers. Should I move forward? Should I move forward? Yes. Next, NCRT is also done. Okay, Kendriya Vidyalaya, it has been repeated in the next unit also. Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, NIOS. Now there is something new, that is Central Tibetan School Administration. The Central Tibetan School Administration CTSA established in 1961 under the Ministry of Education. It has not been done in the previous unit. It by Government of India. It is a registered autonomous organization. Its primary aim is to manage and support educational institution catering to Tibetan children residing in India. These schools are strategically located in areas with significant Tibetan population concentrations, and it strives to offer modern education while preserving and promoting Tibetan culture and heritage. Next, we have uh, under centrally sponsored schemes, the Access with Equity scheme. It focuses access with equity system scheme. See, there are two terms, equity and equality. Can anyone differentiate between these two terms? Equity and equality. These are very, important from the examination point of view. What is equity and what is equality? What is the difference? Anyone? Yes. Hanji?
Equity means group of people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Equity of rights and equality of rights. Anyone else in the class? Yes, Ranjita ji, Ritesh ji. See, when we talk about equality of rights, it means that we are providing equal percentage of resources to everyone. That is equality. But when we talked about equity, that means we are providing resources according to need of the person, right? If a person is poor and he needs more funds for his education or her education, we would be providing him resources according to his needs. That is called equity. But when we treat all the subjects, all the people equally, and we are providing equal percentage of resources to everyone, that is called equality. So equity is a better term in the terms of educational system scheme. So that's why the name of this is the access with equity schemes. It focuses on bolstering boarding and hostel facility for girls and establishing schools in educationally backward blocks. Another initiative, ICT in secondary schools, promotes computer literacy, obviously, ICT, information communication technology, by funding hardware, software, and literated infrastructure, with the central government covering 75% of the cost and states contributing 25%. Each school receives resources like computers, printers, education software, and internet facilities. Additionally, the Inclusive Education for Disabled Children, that is called IEDC, scheme provides grants for aids, appliances, learning material, teachers' salaries, and other expenses to integrate disabled children into the mainstream education. It implemented in 27 states and 4 union territories. The IEDC scheme benefits around 17 million children across approximately 50,000 schools. Next, we have adult education and literacy. Under this, we have NLM, that is National Literacy Mission. The literacy campaign in India have made significant strides addressing social issues and contributing to increased school enrollments and awareness. Launched in 1988 by Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi, the National Literacy Mission, that is NLM, aims to eradicate illiteracy through total literacy campaigns, which is known as TLCs, and subsequent post literacy program, that is PLP, right? Post literacy program, PLP, and continuing education program, that is CEP. These campaigns are area specific, time bound, and participative, facilitated by the district level literacy committees. NLM encourages private partnership, leveraging NGOs' potential. Non-government organizations also come forward to help out in this effort, particularly in districts with low female literacy rates. Special interventions target female literacy rates with innovative programs in low literacy districts. Despite successes, pockets of residual illiteracy remains addressed through projects for residual literacies. Certain projects have been initiated for these kinds of groups. The literacy movement fosters civic awareness, empowering women, and enhancing their role in society through increased self confidence, self worth, gender equity, and access to education, employment, and health services. So, this is clear to you? Adult education and literacy when we are talking about the continuing education and post literacy programs. Okay, thank you. Next is departments of higher education. First, we studied elementary, then we came up to the secondary level, and now I'm going to explain departments of higher education. There are three principal levels of qualification within the higher education system in the country. First, bachelor's or undergraduate level. Second, master's or postgraduate level. And third is doctoral or postdoctoral level. Under this, the body who takes care of the university education or college education is University Grant Commission, that is UGC. As I have earlier told you that it was established in 1956, and the major responsibility of UGC is to include coordinating, determining, and maintaining standards of university education. It takes care of the university education, whether university education is attaining the predetermined goals of quality education or not, right? It also releases grants to universities and higher education institutions Additionally, UGC advises both central and state governments on measure necessary for the development of higher education. What kind of steps can be taken to improve the college education or university education? When we talk about the improvement, we do take care of the research and innovation, especially that whether quality researches have been taken place in the universities or not, whether researchers are being provided with the sufficient funds for that purpose or not, to ensure effective coverage cost coverage across the country. The UGC operates from New Delhi and through 6 regional offices located in Bangalore, Bhopal, Guwahati, Hyderabad, Kolkata, and Pune. Since 1989, the UGC has been conducting national eligibility test, that is famous as NET, right, for determining eligibility for lectureship and research fellowship. I think you all are aware about the research fellowship programs provided by the UGC, which are known as JRF and SRF, Junior Research Fellowship and Senior Research Fellowship, where students are being provided with the grants and stipends, with contingency funds also to continue their research. I mean, they get financial help from UGC to initiate and continue their PhD researches. Next, we have Central University. There are 23 central universities under the purview of MHRD, which have been set up by the Act of Parliament. President of India is the visitor of all central university. President nominates some members to executive committee, board of management, court, selection committee of the university as per the provisions made in the relevant University Act. Ministry provides secretariat service for appointment of vice chancellor, executive committee, nominees, court nominees, selection committees by the president. Then we have state universities and colleges. Earlier was central university. Now state university and colleges. State governments establishes state universities and colleges, providing grants for their development and maintenance. Coordination between the union and the states in education is overseen by the Central Advisory Board of Education. Education falls under the concurrent list, but the central government hold exclusive legislative power for setting standards in higher education, research, and technical institution as per entry 66 in the union list of the constitution. Next, we have open university system. Information and communication technology advancements offer extensive opportunities for improving higher education through both on the campus and distance learning. You all are aware about the distance learning. They provide access to education for disabled individuals and lifelong learners, enhance information access, and foster collaboration among scholars. Open universities and distance learning programs initiated in 1982 and it expanded nationally with IGNO in 1985. Cater to lifelong learning needs, offering flexible and accessible education options. Currently, India has 14 open universities along with many other institutions providing degree, diploma, and certificate programs through correspondence, distance, and open education modes. Next, we have technical education. The technical education system in India encompasses courses and programs in engineering, technology, management, architecture, pharmacy, applied arts, and crafts. Under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, it includes undergraduate, postgraduate, and research level programs. At the central level, the system comprises institutions such as there are different kind of institution. You must have heard about those. All India Council of Technical Education, the institution, Indian Institute of Technology, that are IITs, Indian Institution of Management, Indian Institute of Sciences, National Institution of Technology NITs, Indian Institution of Information Technology, Northeastern Regional Institution of Science and Technology. You need to memorize these names for their for the answer attemptation in your paper. Then Sant Longawal Institution of Engineering and Technology, National Institution of Foundry and Forge Technology, School of Planning and Architecture, National Institution of Industrial Engineering. Right? I hope this much is clear to you. Yes. Okay, thank you. The next major heading which we have to do in Unit 2 is initiatives and schemes of Department of Higher Education. So there are different kinds of schemes and scholarship programs which have been uh, planned and organized by the Government of India. At the executive level, the Department of Higher Education is headed by a secretary who is assisted by one additional secretary and several joint secretaries or equivalent officers. Each joint secretary heads a bureau. At present, work of the department is divided into six bureaus, which are as follows. There are total six bureaus which take care of the education under this program. First, minorities education. Second is book promotion and copyrights. Third, distance education and scholarship planning. Next, Indian National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO. Next, International Cooperation Administration Coordination Policy, Statistics and Languages, and Integrated Financial Division. Uh, Next, we have minorities education. The very first, which I talked about, central assistance is provided to the state government for the appointment of Urdu language teachers in blocks, districts with a concentration of educationally backward minorities. The scheme of assistance for infrastructure and modernization of madrasas support the salary requirements of two teachers per madrasa for teaching non-traditional subjects like mathematics, science, and English. Additionally, it offers one-time assistance for subject kids, teaching kids, and establishing book banks in each madrasas. The scheme also allows for the construction of the additional rooms. The initiative aims to protect the fundamental right of the minorities under Article 30. You must be aware about the educational provisions provided in the Constitution. So, this is talking about the Article 30. To uphold this commitment, the National Commission for Minority Educational Institution has been established through an Act of Parliament. It enables minority educational institutions to seek affiliation with any university provided with the relevant laws allow such affiliation. Next, we have Book Promotion and Copyrights Division. The scheme for intellectual property education, research, and public outreach aims to raise awareness about intellectual property rights, that is IPR and WTO studies. It combines financial assistance for IPR studies, seminars, workshops on copyrights, and WTO studies. Goals include encouraging IPR studies in universities, raising public and academic awareness, developing specialized IPR courses, training enforcement personnel, and creating knowledge resources and policy inputs on WTO matters. The National Book Trust India, that is called NBT, it was established in 1957. It promotes a good literature at affordable prices. It publishes classical Indian literature, works of Indian authors, translations of foreign books, and books for blind students and neo-literates. NBT also organizes book exhibitions, seminars, mobile book fairs, international book fairs, and activities to promote Indian books and foster reading habits, including quality children literature through the National Center for Children Literature. Next, we have, after book promotion and copyright division, we have distance education and scholarship planning. Several scholarship schemes exist, including the CBSE Merit Scholarship Scheme. This scheme provides financial assistance to the brilliant students for professional education at institutions participating in CBSE's All India Pre-Medical and All India Engineering Entrance Examination or central government controlled aided institutions. It also supports the higher education of girls who are the only child of their parents, aiming to help them become professionally qualified and financially independent. Additionally, the UGC, following an initiative by the MHRD, has introduced the Postgraduate Merit Scholarship Scheme for university rank holders at the undergraduate levels. This scheme aims to attract talented students to pursue postgraduate studies in basic subjects with selection based purely on the merit basis. Awardees can pursue their postgraduate programs in any specialization at any higher learning institution in the country. Next, we have Indian National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO. India has been a member of UNESCO since its inception in 1946. Article 7th of the UNESCO Constitution requires each member state to form a national commission to associate its key educational, scientific, and cultural bodies with UNESCO work. The Indian National Commission for Cooperation with UNESCO provides limited financial assistance for studies, projects, seminars, workshops, conferences, exhibitions, reports, and lecture programs focused on international understanding, human rights, peace, and cultural studies. Eligible institutions include non-governmental organizations affiliated with the Commission, UNESCO clubs, associated schools, and other significant NGOs. Grants typically do not exceed rupees 50,000 but can go up to 75,000 if sponsored by the Department of Education. Grants are only given after the settlement of the previous accounts. All these are kind of rules and protocols on the basis of which finances help is provided to the students. Next, we have international cooperation, recognizing the impact of educational exchanges on social, economic, and technological development. The ministry has initiated activities to enhance bilateral and international collaboration in education. Yes, there is a term that is educational exchange program. Anyone in the class, what is that? Yes, students. एजुकेशनल एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम्स में क्या होता है?
Yes,
जी
ma'am. We exchange with other countries, our cultures and
हम्म
education system.
yes, we
Uh,
are very you're very near to the exact answer. Anyone else?
Ma'am, we exchange our student by manner of the internship and all, so that they get
Yes,
basic knowledge and international level knowledge.
very right. This is correct, Samita ji. Next, previously, educational exchange were part of cultural exchange programs managed by the Department of Culture within the Ministry of HRD. Now, various higher education institutions independently engage in these exchanges, arranging scholar exchanges, research, material sharing, student exchanges, and joint seminars and training programs based on their specific needs. This is all under the heading of international cooperation. Next, we have languages. Language development is very crucial in the national policy on education and program of action. The Department of Higher Education promotes Hindi, the 21st languages listed in the Schedule 8th of the Constitution, like Sanskrit, Urdu, English, and foreign languages. Assisted by the autonomous organization and subordinate offices, the department implements several schemes. There are different kinds of schemes which have been planned for the promotion of languages. The very first is financial assistance for promotion of Hindi. Support for voluntary organizations including Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha and for publications and book purchases, promotion of modern Indian languages, publications, book purchases and promotion activities for Indian languages other than Hindi, Sanskrit, Urdu and Sindhi, promotion of English, publications, book purchases and related activities, then promotion of Sanskrit, dedicated support for promoting Sanskrit language also, assistance for classical languages, support for voluntary organization working with classical languages, including Arabic and Persian. Next, we have statistics. The Indian educational system, one of the largest in the world, involves both state and central government legislations. The complexity of educational planning, policy making, and monitoring is heightened by the large size and diverse structure across Indian states. Effective planning and management require timely and varied data in formats that meet the needs of the different user agencies at various levels. The multi level decision making process is further complicated by the wide geographical dispersion of institutions, diverse school locations, endowments, the availability of the teaching learning resources. Next, on an annual basis, if we talk about the statistics, data for all sectors of the education are collected by the various agencies. We talked about University Grant Commission, it always focuses on the higher education. Then we talked about NCRT, it conducts occasional surveys on the school education on the different issues. Then we have NUPA, it uses the District Information System DISC software for planning, management, monitoring, and feedback on educational interventions. Then other important sources of educational data are National Sample Survey Organizations, Census of India publications. All these are the sources from which we collect statistics data related to the educational system in our country. International Institution for Popular Sciences, National Council of Applied Economic Research, right? Then we have non-government initiatives and public-private partnership. Now here, earlier we were doing government initiatives and scheme, and I think this would be the last subheading, that is NGOs, non-government initiatives and public-private partnership. In a populous country like India, government alone cannot provide education for all. So private initiatives and community programs, especially by NGOs, are very crucial for achieving universal education. These programs focus on out of the school children, marginalized groups, and girls often in social and economically backward areas. NGOs rely on donations from individuals, corporations, and international organizations like UNICEF and World Bank to run these initiatives, which also address health and nutrition needs of the students, particularly in urban slums and for working children. Then NGOs are collaborating extensively with the government to implement educational policy in India. NGOs involved in government projects like DPEP and Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, then Language Mission play a vital role in mobilizing community resources for basic education. The government provides grants and aids for centrally sponsored schemes routed through state governments. Public private partnerships bring professionalism and innovative concepts to these collaborations, with room for further expansion and involvement of the private sector. SSA emphasizes decentralization and community ownership of the schools, with funds flowing through local bodies. Computer aided learning, that is popular as CAL, is encouraged, aiming to make elementary school more attractive and reduce dropouts. Tamil Nadu and Karnataka have implemented CAL, computer aided learning programs, engaging firms for hardware, software, and training. Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Nagaland, and Assam. These states, they have adopted a boot mode where private firms provide hardware, software, and training for a fixed period. So now you understand public-private partnership when government is taking initiative, but private bodies are also coming forward to contribute and help towards their goals, right? Next, NGOs initiative at national levels. There are certain NGOs which are being mentioned in your study material, and I think you would have to memorize the names of these kinds of NGOs which are there. Number one is Pratham. It was founded in 1994 in Mumbai slums, aiming for universal primary education, and operates in 14 Indian states. Initially supported by UNICEF, it's now backed up by ICICI Bank also. Pratham's approach involves a triangular partnership. Like there are three stakeholders: government, corporate sector, and the citizen. That's why it is known as triangular partnership. Their network enables additional activities like health and computer education at the minimal cost. Pratham programs include, under this NGOs working, there are certain programs which are coming under the Pratham's initiative: Balwadi Preschool. Balwadi Uh, yes, students, am I audible to you? There was a technical glitch at my end, I think. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
S- Okay, thank you so much. So we were talking about Balwadi preschool, that is meant for the age group of 3 to 5 year old from low income families, providing early childhood education. When we talk about early childhood education, it takes care of their early literacy skills along with their health and nutrition. Next is bridge course. It prepares 6 to 12-year-old who never attended or dropped out of the school for formal education. Here we are discussing the initiatives taken by the Pratham NGO, right? Bal Shakti Remedial Education. It helped grade 2nd to 4th municipal school children achieve literacy and numeracy skills. Then we have Akar Setu. It integrates working children into nearby government schools with classes held in the community by Bal Sakhis. So there are so many people who are involved in the functioning of these NGOs. Next, we have butterflies. There is one more very famous NGO, but with the name of butterflies in the city Delhi. It focuses on the street children, operating 8 contact programs in areas with high concentration of such children, including shoe blacks, rag pickers, and vendors. These children aged 5 to 12 often work long hours and lack access to formal education. Butterflies provide support services like health, counseling, vocational training, and non formal education. Their learners are grouped based on literacy skills, literacy levels, sorry, not age, into 3 stages. First, preparatory, then second, elementary, and third is advanced stage. So, preparatory stage would be from lower and higher kindergarten, elementary from class 1 and 2, and advanced class 3rd and 4th. Yes, I think there is a certain problem at my end. So let me take your attendance first. You all are there since 2 hours. So your attendance should be taken first. Yes, Minu is there.
Yes, ma'am.
Varsha,
Yes, ma'am.
Jyotsna, Kamal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I've seen you. Shilpi,
Yes, ma'am.
Ritesh,
Yes, ma'am.
just hold on. After Ritesh, next is there is someone by the name of okay, regional center. Then Devinder Singh,
Yes, ma'am.
J,
Yes, ma'am.
Smita,
Yes, ma'am.
Ranjita,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
last is I think Archana. Archana.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Ji. Thank you so much. And let me take your attendance again by switching on your videos because I think few minutes are left in finishing our class. Kindly switch on your videos for a second because I have to take your attendance according to the time also. Thank you so much, Jyotsna ji. Next, everyone, please switch on your videos. Thank you. Archana ji, you are not visible. You are sitting on the opposite side of the light. This is the most important part of our class. I hope you all are agree. Ranjita ji, Jyotsna ji, kindly switch on your videos.
I'm having some issue with my laptop. My video is not getting switched on.
Okay, no problem. I've seen you. You are here since the class starts. No problem. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Just hold on. One more for the next group. I'm sorry, there is some problem at my end. So let me finish this task. Thank you so much. Now you can switch off your videos. Thank you. Okay. So we just did the NGO butterflies, right? And after that, we have the header, which is about talking about the international collaborations, NGOs, initiatives, international collaborations. Here we have World Bank with us, right? You must be aware about this term, World Bank. It also takes care of the funding for the educational purposes to the different countries. Then we have UNICEF, European Commission, UNESCO. Okay, so I would be talking about the World Bank first. The District Primary Education Program, inaugurated in 1994, it marked a bold endeavor to significantly advance in the universalization and enhance the quality of primary education throughout India. Spearheaded by the World Bank as the primary financer, DPEP garnered support from numerous other donors also, underscoring its collaborative and multifaceted approach to addressing educational challenges. So I'm mentioning the name of the body, District Primary Education Program, which was financed by the World Bank. This initiative aimed not only to increase access to primary education but also to elevate its standard across the nation by prioritizing the grassroots level through district-based interventions. DPEP sought to ensure that every child, regardless of their background or location, had access to the quality education. Then we talked about the multi-phase nature of DPEP. It encompassed various components like teacher training, curriculum development, infrastructure enhancement, and community participation. The success of DPEP lay not only in the financial backing but also in the collaborative spirit, drawing upon the expertise and resources of diverse stakeholders, it including government agencies, non-profit organizations, and local communities. Next, UNICEF. It supports school-based interventions for HIV/AIDS prevention and initiatives to eliminate gender and social disparities. Yes. UNICEF also strengthened education planning and monitoring through initiatives like the District Information System for Education, that is DISE. Next is European Commission. The main objective of the European Commission grant is to reinforce India's own efforts to universalize elementary education, right? And the European Commission signed an agreement with the Government of India in November 2001. All these things you have to memorize for your question. The EC grant to SSA, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, is in the form of sectoral support, whereby the Government of India will have the flexibility to deploy European Commission resources to implement its priorities. And the last slide of today's class is UNESCO. As already discussed in the section 2.5, India is among the founding member of UNESCO. The government country has been playing an active role in promoting UNESCO's ideals and objectives. And in India, UNESCO associates itself with the various local and international NGOs to promote its education related objectives. UNESCO is running a project named Associated School Project, that you have to memorize, that it is Associated School Project. I hope today's lecture is clear to you, students. Thank you so much. Now I'll meet you on 24. Anything you want to ask? There is some problem, I think, because of that, my connection is disconnecting, like network is going repeatedly. So, Sunil ji, are you there? Can we wind up the class?
Ma'am, you have not taken my attendance, Sunil.
Okay. Okay, okay. Anyone else left for the attendance? You can tell me your names. Otherwise, I have mentioned Meenu, Barsa, Jyotsna, Kamal, Shilpi, Ritesh, Devinder, Jay, Samita, Ranjita, Archana, and Sunil. Anyone left for the attendance? Okay, students. So attendance is done, and for the next class, I'll meet you on 24th. Any query from your end, you can ask me.
Yes,
Have
ma'am.
you? Yes,
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 ma'am.
Minu.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Ma'am, I have small doubt here. As
Mm-hmm.
definitely we will try to attend all the classes, but as we
Mm-hmm.
are working also, sometime maybe it can miss. Can we get the recorded classes, ma'am? Is it possible?
For that purpose, Menuji, I would have to ask our regional center if they'll allow. So definitely, I'll share the recorded class with you. What I told you that I would be sharing my PPT also with the authorities in case they want to forward it to you, right? But I'm not sure about that. We would be providing you recording class because it is mandatory to attend these classes for all the students.
Okay, sure, ma'am. I understand that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and to get this, to whom we will approach, ma'am?
I'll convey your message to the authorities, and in case that it is possible, it is allowed, they'll definitely get back to you.
Okay, ma'am. And one more thing, ma'am. Actually, still we
Mm-hmm.
didn't get any study material. We are
Okay,
following the
you
site, but
don't
it's
have your.
very tough to follow. Yeah, we don't have,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay.
Already we paid,
Any
but
of
we
you?
didn't get. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That also I'll convey to the concerned faculty about
Thank you,
this
ma'am.
issue
Definitely
also,
it will be
right?
helpful, ma'am, if you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And you, by the time you can download the study material from the IGNO site also of this paper or any other paper. PDFs are available on the internet
Ye-
also, their website.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have downloaded, but sometimes it's lack of internet or something. It's very tough to open. That's what, ma'am.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I can understand. I can understand that, and I'll convey your message to the concerned person.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else you want to know? Anyone in the class? I hope that lecture is clear to you. Now, once you get your study material, you can go through it, and then it would be completely, I mean, understandable by you. If anything is left. Thank you so much.